The film opens with an elderly man, Pfluger, unearthing a grave marked by traditional symbols. As he retrieves a human skull, a sudden burst of white smoke erupts from it, forcefully propelling him backward. The scene then shifts to a teenage boy named Kelly, who is browsing and shopping at a nearby store. Kelly bumps into his childhood friend and longtime crush, Dominique. After a brief conversation, he steps outside, only to be confronted by his longtime bullies. Reed, Brad leaves. The next day at school, the bullies spread the video online, worsening his embarrassment. At home, Kelly continues his habit of eating paper. Meanwhile, the film shifts focus to an indigenous man named Red Eric, who is seen near the disturbed grave. Kelly's health begins to decline due to his habit of consuming paper and pencils, a result of his eating disorder, pica. Concerned, his family doctor advises his mother, Bernice, to seek help from a psychologist to address his compulsive behavior. The next day, Pfluger appears in town, presenting himself as a reverend with a miraculous ability to heal people's pain and ailments with a mere touch. To prove his gift, he heals an elderly woman suffering from severe back and leg pain. Impressed by his abilities, Bernice approaches him and invites him to her home, hoping he can heal her son, Kelly. However, Red Eric confronts Pfluger, questioning the source of his healing powers and urging him to relinquish them. Pfluger refuses, leading to a tense exchange that ends with Red Eric slapping him. It is revealed that the mysterious power defends itself by shielding its host. Anyone who tries to harm Pfluger experiences the pain instead. Red Eric warns him that the medicine is pure, but if misused, it will ultimately destroy the one who possesses it. He then reveals that he has been the guardian of the grave urging Pfluger to return the medicine. Eric's warning. Pfluger proceeds to Bernice's house. Upon arrival, he demands payment before examining Kelly. As he places his hands on the boy, he is suddenly jolted by an intense shock and instinctively pulls away. Making an excuse, he asks to use the restroom, where he takes some medicine before returning for another attempt. They scream before collapsing unconscious on the floor. In that instant, Kelly regains consciousness. The police arrive, but to everyone's surprise, Kelly's cigarette burn has completely vanished. Pfluger's unconscious body is taken away. The next day, while repairing his bicycle, Kelly accidentally cuts himself. However, he is shocked to see the wound disappear instantly. Later, he confides in his mother, revealing that something incredible happened to him after Pfluger's so-called healing. He no longer feels pain, and his injuries heal on their own, just like the cigarette burn that mysteriously vanished from his chest. While in town, Kelly runs into Dominique and her friend. They are surprised by how much his once frail and skinny body has transformed since they last saw him. Impressed, Dominique admits that she has fallen for the new Kelly. Shortly after, Kelly is confronted by Reed's older brother, Nelson. With a confident smile, Kelly taunts him, claiming that he can no longer be hurt. Nelson throws a punch, but instead of injuring Kelly, he suddenly feels the pain himself. It becomes clear that Pfluger's powers have been transferred to Kelly, now acting as a protective force around him. Kelly secures a job at a pizza shop, but that same night, Reed's father, Gus Whitecomb, storms in, furious. He accuses Kelly of attacking his son and seriously injuring him. Kelly calmly explains that Reed tried to beat him up but ended up hurting himself instead. Whitecomb struggles to understand how someone is son. Bernice steps in, reminding him that his boys have bullied Kelly for years while he stood by and did nothing. After Whitecomb and his son leave, Kelly confronts his mother about the strange powers he inherited from Pfluger. To test it, he asks her to sling that Kelly urges him to keep it a secret to avoid drawing unwanted attention. At school, the bullies struggle to intimidate Kelly as they once did. During class, Dominique accidentally drops her hair tie on Kelly's desk. He picks it up, smells it, and even bites off a small piece before returning it to her. Soon after, Kelly begins experiencing vivid fantasies and illusions involving Dominique. As his visions intensify, her friend Sarah also appears in them. As Kelly's imagination intensifies, it reaches a peak in the middle of class, drawing attention from everyone. An awkward moment. That night, at a campfire gathering, Tony suddenly grabs and lifts Dominique without her permission. Kelly becomes upset and steps in, demanding that Tony leave her alone. In response, Tony mocks him, once again calling him trash boy. Before the situation escalates, Tony's father, Gus, who is also the school coach, steps in to break them apart. He tells Kelly to save his energy for the game instead of picking fights. It is revealed that Coach Gus is also seeking revenge for what Kelly supposedly did to his son, Reed. Later that night, while driving home, Tony and his friends spot Kelly riding his bike. Determined to make him pay, they attempt to force him off the road, but Kelly remains unfazed. Frustrated, they decide to chase him down. However, in the heat of the pursuit, Brad loses control of the car and has been fatally smashed, leaving him dead on the spot. Terrified by what just happened, Tony and his friends immediately call the police. Meanwhile, Kelly rises to his feet, leaving them in shock as they struggle to understand how he survived being run over. Later, Dominique and her friends arrive at the scene. Kelly recounts the entire incident to them, explaining what took place. He also confesses to his mother that Brad's car hit him, but instead of suffering any injuries, all the wounds transferred to Brad, ultimately killing him. Bernice cautions Dom not to reveal Kelly's secret to anyone. Meanwhile, Tony and his friends lie to the police, claiming that Kelly was riding his bike in the middle of the road. They say Brad swerved to avoid hitting him, lost control of the car, and crashed, causing the airbag to fatally crush his face. The next morning, after hearing about Pfluger's death, Red Eric visits his grave. He examines the soil and realizes that Pfluger had lost his supernatural powers before he died. At school, Tony and his crew, enraged by Brad's death, plot revenge against Kelly after seeing him with Dominique. However, Reed refuses to go along with their plan. That night, excited, Kelly shares with Bernice that Dom has agreed to go to the movies with him. However, he soon notices that Bernice isn't feeling well. Concerned, he heads into town to buy her some aspirin. Believing that Bernice has already left for her night shift, Tony and his crew hook a trailer to their pickup truck and pull it off its supports. Unbeknownst to them, Bernice, who is unwell, is still inside. As the trailer collapses, a gas leak from the kitchen stove ignites, triggering a massive explosion. Later, Kelly returns home and, seeing the wreckage, rushes inside, screaming for his mother. However, he is met with a devastating sight. Bernice has perished in the fire, her body completely burned. Overcome with grief, Kelly is taken to the hospital, traumatized by his mother's tragic death. Officer Adler persuades the doctor to keep Kelly at the hospital for another night while he arranges a place for him to stay. Meanwhile, Red Eric confronts Sheriff Adler, revealing that Kelly has inherited powers that rightfully belong to their people. Powers passed down from Pfluger, silently observing his strange behavior. Meanwhile, Sheriff Adler reassures Kelly that he won't be stuck in the social services system for long. He promises to find him a good foster family. Adler praises Kelly for his bravery in attempting to save his mother from the burning trailer. As they leave, Kelly notices something unsettling. The trailer had been deliberately pulled off its supports. This realization confirms his worst fear. His mother's death wasn't an accident. Someone was behind it. Meanwhile, among the boys, Reed suggests they come clean to the police about their role in Bernice's death. However, Tony, showing no remorse, quickly shuts him down, insisting that telling the truth would mean spending the rest of their lives in jail. On their way to the riverbank, Tony and his friend spot Sheriff Adler driving Kelly and seize the opportunity to mock them. Enraged, Kelly jumps out of the moving car and chases after them down to the river. At the riverbank, Tucker takes off his shirt and dives in for a swim, while the others throw stones at him for fun. As they remain distracted, Kelly grabs Tucker's shirt and bites off a piece. Suddenly, he begins strangling himself with it. At that very moment, Tucker starts struggling in the water, gasping for air as if he's drowning. Reed and the others watch in confusion. Nelson jumps into the water in an attempt to save Tucker, but it appears to be too late. Moments later, Kelly steps forward, revealing himself to the group and admitting his role in Tucker's death. Terrified, Reed takes off running. Kelly then grabs Nelson's shirt. seemingly preparing to use his newfound power again. However, before he can act, Reed returns, this time with Sheriff Adler, forcing Kelly to flee. Nelson and Reed frantically explain to the police that Kelly drowned Tucker in the river, but their story raises suspicion. The officers suspect that the boys themselves may have been responsible, possibly by injuring Tucker with the rocks they had been throwing. That night, Kelly sneaks into Dominique's home. Concerned, she confronts him, demanding to know what really happened at the river and gather the same weeds, preparing for their plan of revenge. The next day, Red Eric and Sheriff Adler exhume Pfluger's grave, unearthing his remains in search of answers. Meanwhile, the following morning, Whitecomb confidently takes his sons to football training, assured that they are under police protection. However, Adler soon spots a chain attached to Whitecomb's pickup truck, the same type used to pull Bernice's trailer off its supports. Suspicious, he quietly observes before Kelly sneaks into the vehicle and steals some of Nelson's clothes. Later, Adler confronts the boys about the chain, pressing them for answers. But despite his questioning, they repeatedly deny any knowledge of it, refusing to admit their involvement. Kelly suddenly appears, holding a drill. Having consumed a piece of Nelson's clothing, after some hesitation, Kelly finally agrees. Adler takes Kelly to the sacred burial site, alongside Red Eric and Dominique. There, Red Eric and Adler begin a ritual to remove the powers from Kelly. As the ceremony progresses, Dominique holds Kelly tightly, comforting him. However, suddenly, Kelly begins convulsing violently. Panicked, Dominique begs Red Eric to stop the ritual. Before they can act, the police arrive, surrounding them and ordering them to stop. In the chaos, as Kelly and Dominique attempt to escape, an officer fires his weapon, only for the power to reflect back, killing both Dominique and the officer himself, leaving Kelly devastated. Sobbing, Kelly holds Dominique in his arms as she takes her final breaths. Overcome with grief and rage, he makes a desperate decision. He consumes what remains of Pfluger's corpse, hoping to break the curse once and for all. The film concludes with a shocking twist. As Dominique lies in an ambulance, she suddenly regains consciousness, revealing that she has inherited Kelly's supernatural powers. Thanks for watching.